Henry Porter, the brilliant, wise nanny of America, gave us a scolding just days ago. Alright, I can't do a British accent, but that was kind of close, I guess. So, Henry Porter, reporter for The Guardian, lectured Americans yesterday, or a couple days ago, in his article, American gun use is out of control. Shouldn't the world intervene? Now, if you're like me, you're sick and tired of people from other countries telling us what policy should be in the United States. So I wanted to go through this article. I feel like I could spend an hour on it, but you probably won't watch past a minute. It would take me so long to do that, but I just wanted to go over a couple quotables from this article that I think I can make some good points too. So let me read to you a couple quotes by Mr. Porter calling for international intervention with the United States. Quote, "But if we no longer thought of this just as a problem for America, instead viewed it as an international humanitarian crisis, a quasi-civil war, if you like, that calls for outside intervention, as citizens of the world, perhaps we should demand an end to the unimaginable suffering of victims and their families, the maiming and killing of children, just as America does in every new civil conflict around the globe." First of all, there is no such thing as a civil conflict, and America has killed millions of women and children with sanctions alone in the Middle East.
We have heard that 500,000 children have died. I mean, that's more children than died in Hiroshima. And you know, is the price worth it?
I think this is a very hard choice, but we think the price is worth it.
So this guy is just a talking head for basically organizations like the UN and the CFR. And to prove that point, I want to go over a couple articles and documents from both groups showing how they talk about basically the same subject matter. And here's one document from the UN titled General and Complete Disarmament in a Peaceful World, which this was an outline of a treaty submitted to a Geneva Convention. But it's very interesting. It goes on to say, disarmament would be implemented progressively and in a balanced manner, so that at no stage could any state or group of states obtain military advantage. Compliance with obligations would be effectively verified. As national armaments were reduced, the United Nations would be progressively strengthened. Well, of course they would, because they would be the only ones with guns. States would have at their disposal only agreed types of non-nuclear armaments for forces required to maintain internal order and protect personal security of citizens. Yeah, see, they're saying that they're the only ones that are going to have force. It goes on. A United Nations Peace Observation Court would be established in Stage 1, and the United Nations Peace Force in Stage 2. The United Nations Peace Force, which would be equipped with agreed types of armaments, would be supplied agreed manpower by states, would be progressively strengthened until, in Stage 3, it would be fully capable of ensuring international security in a disarmed world. Yeah, disarmed except for you. You'll have all the guns. We won't. That doesn't sound like a good idea to me, knowing how governments like to abuse power. As Mao Zedong said, political power grows out of the barrel of the gun, and we the people have guns. Therefore, we have political power. Let's keep it that way. And another interesting article, this is from the CFR by Jonathan D. Tepperman in 2002, where he's talking about the Bush doctrine to go into Iraq and disarm them and take over that country. And he's trying to make the argument, why can't Bush do it at home? Where he says, in any event, the Bush doctrine would make much more sense were it applied in the one place Washington has refused to consider it, at home. After all, it's only within the borders of the U.S. that the government can realistically corner the market on force. and the need for such a monopoly has never been greater than today, as the recent sniper attacks have made tragically clear. So exactly, he's talking about a monopoly on force, which I don't feel safe with the government having. That never turns out well in history. And another section of the article goes on to say, the figures from Congressional Research Service plus recent statistics from iCasualties.org tell us that from the first casualties in the Battle of Lexington to recent operations in Afghanistan, the toll is 1,100,071,177. By contrast, the number killed by firearms, including suicides, since 1968, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the FBI, is 1,300,084,171. Wow, it's very interesting. Have you ever heard of a democide? Yeah, that's where governments have killed over 260 million people in the 19th century. That far surpasses any of those numbers. So let's give more political power to foreign governments to intervene in the United States and take away our guns, or the UN, or whoever, because they have a real good track record of only killing 260 million plus people in the last 19th century. And the third section that I want to comment on from this article is where he goes on to state, but no nation sees itself as outsiders do. Half the country is sane and rational, while the other half simply doesn't grasp the inconsistencies and historical lunacy of its position, which springs from the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms, and is derived from English common law and our 1689 Bill of Rights. We dispensed with these rights long ago, but American gun owners cleave to them with the tenacity that previous generations fought to continue slavery. So he compares gun owners to slave owners, when in the spirit of the Second Amendment and the Bill of Rights is anti-slavery. That's why we broke away from Great Britain, was because our freedom was compromised. And the only thing that saved that was private ownership of guns. The War of Independence and the War of 1812 were just a few wars, but were won with the help of militias, which were organized private gun owners. The Declaration of Independence tells us when and why we should sever the ties between a government and the people, and we should never relinquish that right to fight back. Otherwise, the new slave masters will be the government with guns and the new slaves, the disarmed public.